Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Made by Mumino knitting podcast. My name is Kathryn and I'm filming today, as always, in Mönchengladbach, which is a city in between Dusseldorf and the Dutch border over on the western side of Germany. So I live here with my lovely partner, who is not actually German. He was born here, but he's actually Greek. So yeah, I live here with him, lots of houseplants, lots of yarn. And it's a lovely sunny day today. And I'm filming really early because it's the summer holidays, as I'm sure it is in many places in the Northern Hemisphere right now. So there are kids who live in my building as well. So I'm trying to, I've heard them go out. So I'm hoping it's going to be quiet. And also it's going to be quite hot today, I think. So I wanted to get filming done as early as possible. You can find me on Instagram as Mumino, Ravelry as Mumino, and obviously here on YouTube and Ko-fi as Made by Mumino. I also have an email address, madebymumino@gmail.com. I always put chapters in. Feel free to skip through if you're not interested in something. I promise I won't feel a thing. And anything that I talk about is linked down below. If I've missed something, just let me know in the comments and I'll sort that out as quickly as possible. And also feel free to ask about anything that I talk about in the comments too, just in case I haven't covered it properly. In this podcast I mainly talk about knitting, but sometimes other crafts come in as well, other yarny things. But for those of you who have been here before, thank you so much for coming back and welcome to any new viewers of my podcast. Thank you so much for all the lovely comments and things that you left on the last podcast episode. I love chatting to you guys in the comments. It's really, really nice. And I also love chatting to people in the Made by Mumino Ravelry group as well. That's really nice too. We're running a MAL at the moment and it's on Instagram and Ravelry. And yeah, it's just so nice to see people's WIPs and finished objects and things in the Ravelry group and on Instagram. But I'll talk about that a bit more later. But anyway, for those of you who are returning viewers, you may notice the blanket's changed. So normally I have a lovely knitted blanket here that my mum made, a kind of a sampler blanket. If you're interested, go and have a look at the last episode where I talk about it. But it's made of very thick roving wool and it's just too hot at the moment. So I've switched it out for my patchwork. Normally this lives on our bed and it's an English paper pieced quilt that I made over many years. I think from start to finish it took me about 10 years to make. It's lots and lots of scraps. Some were bought, lots were from other projects and things. And it's all done with, I think it was 2.5 or 3 inch, I think. Yeah, 3 inch English paper piecing, all done by hand. And I think it's about 6 foot square, a little bit over 6 foot square. So it did take me a long time to do it, but I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'd make another one like this, maybe a smaller one, but English paper piecing is really nice. So if you are interested in that, actually, I'll put a link down below. The Last Homely House podcast, she makes quilting really accessible for people because it can be a bit daunting. I am not one for accuracy and precise measuring. So for me, English paper piecing is perfect because when you place 2 seams together, you can kind of fudge it a little bit. So you can get like if something's slightly too long or slightly too short, you can kind of stretch it out or squeeze it up a little bit when you're putting the pieces together. But yeah, this is all hand stitched apart from the quilting itself, which my mum has got a long arm quilting machine. And so I put this on the long arm quilter to do it. I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest, when I first made this. And I bought the wrong kind of wadding. I was living in Beijing at the time and I got wadding for the middle that's actually for like quilts and down jackets and things like that. So it's far too thick. And I started hand quilting it, and it was just impossible to pick up from the what's it called, the backing fabric. That's the one. It was impossible to pick it up. So which was honestly kind of disappointing because I was planning on quilting in the ditch around all of these little hexagons. But it's fine. Do you know what, it's fine. I'll probably make another one at some point, maybe a smaller lap quilt that's not so voluminous with much smaller hexagons. It's really, it's very satisfying. I enjoy English paper piecing. So yeah, the knitted blanket is temporarily gone because it's too hot. And the cotton patchwork is here. The cotton quilt is here. Okay, so also on that theme, what I'm wearing today, this is a dress I made a couple of years ago. The pattern was from Merchant & Mills, and it's called the Florence dress. And I made this in, I think, it's called double gauze or double muslin, I think. Because I know the double Musselin in German, so I'm not sure what it's called in English. But it's when you have several layers of muslin and it's squished together to make this lovely light fabric. When I was a kid, I think we would have called this cheesecloth. I think my nan definitely would have called this cheesecloth. But that might be something different again. I do sew, but I'm not a sewer. So yeah, this is nice and light and cool. It's a very full dress. I think for my size, the pattern called for something crazy like 6 meters of fabric to make my size. So it's voluminous. It has buttons down the back, just to the Empire waistline. And it's not perfect by any stretch. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have seen here, I've done a little tuck accidentally. But do you know what? It's a comfortable dress and I love wearing it. I also cheated, I think. Not on that bit. Where did I cheat? Oh no, I didn't cheat on this one. Sometimes I do pre-made bias tape around the edge just to give it a bit more structure, but I didn't on this one. I made my own bias tape for this one. Oh, there we go. I didn't cheat so much. So no knitted object here. No knitted object here. It's a bit too warm. Not as warm as in some parts of the world, I know, but fairly warm. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. That's the blanket. My notes are here. Let's go. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's typical. I just start filming and I realise I've forgotten something immediately. So I had to go and get my first finished object because I've been wearing it a lot. This weekend I went to Münster, and that was the footage you would have seen right at the beginning of the intro. And yeah, I wore my first finished object, or my only finished object, all day there, and it was perfect. I'm absolutely in love with it. Genuinely want to cast on another one as soon as possible. And I've just noticed a little end that I haven't woven in properly. There we go. So this is the finished Pier 39 top from Isabell Kraemer. Not showing that very well, am I? So yeah, how gorgeous is that? It's so drapey. This is made in an alpaca linen silk mix. So 50% alpaca, 25% linen, 25% silk. And you can see you get this fantastic drape with it. Absolutely gorgeous. So that's the main colour. This pink is that lovely mix. So you can see the beautiful mull and the flecks of the linen in there. I do like a linen mix. It really does look interesting. The stripes going across are fingering weight. Oh, I forgot to say, that is also fingering weight, 400 meters per 100 grams. The stripes going across are also fingering weight, this time from Bad Katu yarn. I just had some minis. I was saving them for another blanket, and I thought the colours just went together so nicely. It was a shame not to use them. So yeah, this is my Pier 39 top. And oh, I should have said it's made on 3.25mm needles, which I believe is a US 5. 1 second. No, US 3. I will learn it. So 3.25mm, a US 3, and it's out now. The construction was lovely. I'm definitely going to make another one of these. So the top, as you can see, it has a raw edge around the neck, which I do like. I'm a fan of a nice plain neckline. And then it's a saddle shoulder construction. where you gradually increase for the arms. And I did Elizabeth Zimmerman's invisible increases for those. And I think it's made a really, really nice effect. And then you join underneath the arms and it's just round and round in circles until the bottom. I didn't make any adaptations at all for this pattern. It was bang on, absolutely perfect. I love Isabell Kraemer's patterns. Touch wood, I've never had a problem with the fit or anything like that. They're just really, really nicely written and yeah, can't recommend them enough. However, I am very pear-shaped. I'm, you know, a whole size, maybe 2 sizes bigger around my hips than I am around my top. So a normal bind off was a little bit too tight. I needed a bit of a yeah, a bit more give. So I switched out the normal bind off recommended in the pattern, which was just bind off in pattern, to Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Now that has resulted in a slight flaring, but I'm okay with that. When I'm wearing it, it did flip up a little bit. So I think what I might do is rip it back a little bit, and make the ribbing just a little bit longer, just so I get a little bit more depth to that ribbing, so it's sort of squeezing in a little bit more. And then again, do Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. What I could also do is make a split hem. I think that would work quite well too. So rip back to where the ribbing starts, put the back stitches on hold, knit down another maybe inch or so in ribbing, and then switch over to the back and do maybe 2 inches in ribbing, just to create that little split hem to make it fit a bit more comfortably for me. But honestly, this was lovely. If I haven't already done so, I'll put a picture up here of me wearing it. And yeah, the sleeve construction is really, really clever. So as you can see, the ribbing at the top is wider than the ribbing at the bottom, and this is achieved through short rows. And I just love this. It's so comfortable to wear. As you saw from the picture, it kind of sits here. So when you're wearing it, it has quite a boxy sort of fit, and which is, I think, very flattering. I do have a little bit of a bingo wing thing going on. Oh gosh, I said to the, I go to a knit night every Friday, or most Fridays, and all of my fellow knitters there, they're all German. So I was trying to explain what bingo wings were and they thought it was hilarious. There's not an expression that they could think of in German for that. If anybody German is watching and they know what bingo wings are in German, please let me know down in the comments. So anyway, I don't care. My arms are my arms and I'm quite happy with that. So this is the Pier 39 top from Isabell Kraemer. Can't recommend it enough. Beautiful pattern. Would knit again. 5 stars. Yes, when I was blocking this, I do have a problem with the little songbirds outside stealing my yarn when I'm blocking stuff outside. They just come down and rip off bits of mohair, and mohair is the worst, but they just come down and rip off little bits of fluff. I mean, it's July now. What day is it today? 29th of July. They should not be nesting anymore. I know sometimes the little songbirds have like 2 clutches of eggs in a season. But yeah, they just come down and they help themselves to my fluffy yarns while stuff is outside blocking. So actually it might be a good cheap way of de-bobbling, de-pilling. Just leave your pilling knitwear outside and maybe the blue tits and things would steal the little... Anyway, I digress. This is a knitting podcast with lots of rambling. Okay, so the next item I'm going to talk about is another test knit, this time for Jacey at BluebirdPine shop. I talked about it briefly in my last episode. Not quite finished, almost there. So I should be finishing that today, I hope, if I've got time. This is the Ridge Tee. And as you can see, it's a very relaxed, boxy shape. I haven't put the collar in yet. I will do that today, and I've only done the one sleeve, but I have done the bind off down at the bottom. Oh, this is a nice example of a split hem detail. So this has a split hem, all my lovely ends. So this is again a saddle shoulder construction. I do like that in a summer top. It's very relaxed. It's not too tight under the arms, so it kind of, I don't know, gives you a bit of breathing room. It's not too constrictive. So yeah, this is lovely and simple. It's a nice gauge. It's for DK weight. I'm using more of a sport weight, so it's creating more of an open fabric. You can see a little bit through it, but that's fine by me because I'm intending to use this to layer anyway. Nice and simple, cast on, make the back, pick up for the shoulders at the front, and then you're away. And there's lots of these interesting pearl details to make the ridges. And the shoulder is very nicely constructed as well. Sort of picks up along this line here. I do find that when I'm knitting, oh, this is 100% cotton, I should say. And it's, what size needle am I making this on? I'm making this on a 3.75, I believe. 1 second. 3.75mm needle, yeah, which is a US 5. I went down a needle size just to get gauged with this yarn, which is Drops Safran, which is slightly less than a DK. It's 100% cotton. I think it comes out at something like 3, I can tell you exactly. Where is it? Yeah, 160 meters for 50 grams. So it's more of a sport weight really than a DK. But yeah, but it's working out fine for me. It's a gorgeous color, isn't it? This is number 63, sea green. And I'm using marzipan in the same Drop Saffron to do the highlights. So around the top of the collar, there'll be another white stripe around there and also around the other side. So this is a really nice little knit. I'll just show you what this will look like when it's finished. This is Jacey modelling hers. Now she's made hers in the recommended yarn for the pattern, which is Drops Bell, which is, I think it's cotton, linen and viscose, so it's a bit of a mix. And I've knit with that before. I made my Costa tank top that you may have seen a few episodes ago, which was also a test knit for Jacey. I made that in the Drops Bell, and it's lovely, and I've washed it a couple of times now and I'm really happy with it, so I definitely do that again. I had that in stash. I've had it in stash for ages, this Drop Saffron, with the intention of making a summer top with it, so I just wanted to use this. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to wearing this. I also suspect that whilst blocking it isn't going to do a lot because it's cotton, I think it will stretch down a little bit. I think it'll get longer as I wear it. Cotton does grow a little bit, in my experience anyway, when you wear it. So I think this will get a bit longer. But no, I'm really happy with this. Looks pretty. Nice simple knit. Requires a little bit of concentration just to make sure that you don't start a purl row when it should be a knit row. But other than that, fairly straightforward. Hopefully I'll finish that later on today when I've finished filming this. So that's that. And that is living, again, in my Eldenwood craft bag. I love these bags. They're nice and boxy. They're sturdy. I can put them on the floor in the car when we're driving to, when my partner's driving. So it acts as a little sort of yarn bowl. It's sturdy enough to sort of sit between my feet on the floor. And it also has nice little handy pockets for, what have I got in there? What's in your project bag? I've got lavender, needle tips. Oh, that's where those scissors went. Haha. And barber cords that really, really, really should be in their tin and not floating about without a tin. So, yes. Oh dear. So, the Ridge Tee from BluebirdPine shop, coming soon. So I think there's going to be lots of cuts in this episode because there's people walking around and things outside, so which is a bit noisy. And I just had to pause because the bin lorry was coming around to collect our wheelie bins as well. Anywho, it gave me a chance to change over the pattern on my clipboard. I tend to, any patterns that I'm doing that I don't, that I've got printed out, I tend to put them on a clipboard. So all the things I'm working on right now, they're all on here, just so that they're easy to annotate and keep nice and flat. So the next thing I'm making is a WIP, which is the Puntal. This has got to be maybe the 7th Puntal that I've made. I love them. It's such a beginner-friendly pattern. The designer, Belen Fernandez, she's just fantastic. The way that she explains how to do it. If you haven't done a raglan jumper before and you would like to have a go, this is a fantastic one to start with. This, or maybe the no frill sweater from Petite Knit, although I think the instructions in this, if I'm being honest, I think it's clearer. But it's really good sizes. I think there's 7 sizes for men, 7 sizes for women. So there's lots and lots of possibilities. I can show you this. There's really clear schematics, loads of information about sizing. Yeah, so I tend to knit this for the men in my life. I've made one for my dad, one for, loads for my partner. In various different weights and yarns and things. But this one I'm making for my little brother. I say little brother, he's over 6 foot. So I have a lot of yarn scraps from making things with woolly knit cones. And my brother saw my partner's jumper that I made for him last Christmas, which was a puntal. And my brother said, "Oh, that's really nice." So I said, "Would you like one?" And he was like, "Yeah." I don't know if he actually wants one or if he was just being polite, but he's getting a jumper. So I took one of his jumpers that he was wearing, that he said he really liked the fit of, measured that flat on the dining room table, and yeah, I'm making a puntal. This is being kept in my giant Christmas bag. Say the C word very, very quietly. Technically, this is a Christmas project because I will give him this jumper as a gift at Christmas. So this is allowed, Christmas in July. But my mum made me this bag. I think this is Liberty fabric. Mum, comment below if it's not. I'm pretty sure it's Liberty fabric. But she designed this bag, the pattern or the recipe for this bag herself, I think. Again, tell me below if you didn't, Mum. But it's perfect for 2 fat quarters of fabric. And she is a quilter as well as a knitter. So she has lots of fat quarters lurking about the place. And this is so cute, little Christmas crackers. And it's zipped as well, which means you can store long-term projects in it without fear of it being nibbled. And this is big enough for lots of cones. I've got so many cones that look like that, with about that much left on them. There's another one. And I just want to use some of them up. So my little brother is getting a puntal that's very stripy. How fun is that? I'm not sticking to the pattern in terms of the striping. I'm doing 10 rows of, is it 10 rows? I think so. 10 rows of one colour, 3 rows of another, and I've got an odd number of colours. So down here where I've got the grey, that will be a thick row instead of a thin row. So I'm hoping that the thick and thin rows will alternate colour as it goes down. So yeah, this is a scrappy puntal for my little brother. He lives on a canal boat with his lovely partner, who's Romanian. We've got a very multicultural family. I live in Germany with a Greek German. One of my brothers is married to a lovely Indian lady, and my other brother is his partner's Romanian, and there's also a couple of English brother-in-laws, but we won't talk about them. I'm from Wales originally. But anyway, so he lives on a canal boat, so he's very knit-worthy. He loves his rustic knitwear. My mum always makes him big, thick, woolly socks to wear in his boots and stuff. So yeah, I think I'll enjoy knitting this. It's I cast it on and I couldn't put it down. That's probably why my ridge tee isn't finished yet, because I was just really enjoying making stripes. I've done the Elizabeth Zimmer invisible increases, but as you can see, they're not so invisible when you're doing stripes. I quite like that effect though. I think it looks kind of cool. So I was going to rip back and do a normal increase, but I kind of like it. I think it's a nice little detail. I've also done jogless stripes for this as well, and tried to make sure that the changes are kind of hidden in the raglan a little bit. So yeah, this is a puntal. Great pattern, especially very beginner friendly if you've never made a raglan jumper before. The two adaptations that I do when I'm making this kind of jumper. Firstly, as you can see, there's no collar on here. The pattern does start with a ribbon collar, and then you go into the body and put in some short rows. Now, personally, I find that when I'm knitting particularly larger sizes for men, or if it's going to be very long, or if it's for myself, obviously it's a larger size, and I'm knitting in silk or alpaca or something, things stretch and everything is hanging from this area here. So everything's pulling down. So what can happen is the collar can get a little bit out of shape. So I find I like to give a little bit more structure by starting with the row after the collar, and then I go back and pick up the stitches for the collar and do it separately. I just find it gives a little bit more structure. I think I got the idea for doing it from Andrea because I think she's talked about it a few times on various episodes of her podcast, I'll Knit If I Want To. She answers lots of questions in her podcast. It's so useful. When I was first starting to come back to knitting, I found that watching her podcast was very, very helpful. You know, a lot of the questions, they weren't relevant to me or whatever, but there were some real nuggets of information in there that I found really useful. So that's the first adaptation I tend to do when I'm making any jumper, starting in the row after the collar and then going back later and picking that up. So I tend to pick up the collar before I finish the body because it will sit differently after the collar is on there. It'll pull it all up, it'll pull it all together. So if you try and get the correct length without the collar on there, it's gonna be a little bit shorter when you've finished. So I would recommend doing that. The other thing that I tend to do is under the arms, unless there's some specific reason why I shouldn't, I don't do a long tail cast on under the arms because I just find it's a little bit flimsy. I prefer to do a cable cast on, which sounds really difficult, but it was probably the way that most people learn to do a cast on. I'll link a video down below of how to do a cable cast on. I think it just gives a little bit more structure. The other thing that I tend to do is cast on one extra stitch at either end of the cable cast on. And then when I'm knitting the next round, I knit the extra stitch together with one of the main body stitches, so the next main body stitch. If you're interested or you don't think I've explained that very well, which I probably haven't, please comment down below and I'm more than happy to explain again. But what can happen when you are casting on the stitches for under the arm, you can get a little hole in the corner on either side. And this just pulls it together. Now, some people like to pick up an extra stitch when they're going around, absolutely fine, when they're picking up them for the sleeves. But I prefer to make sure the hole isn't there before I pick up for the sleeves because it saves problems. So yeah, so say for sake of argument, I've got to cast on 10 stitches for here. I would cast on 12. And then when I come round again, I would knit the last body stitch together with the first underarm stitch just to pull that gap closed, and then it gets rid of any little holes. I mean, wool is pretty forgiving, cotton not so much. You can get away with a lot with wool because when you block it, it fills up all of the gaps. You can kind of weave in stuff in the background if you've got some nice long tails. I tend to leave lots of long tails in case I need a bit extra yarn to fill in little holes or missed stitches or whatever. And I don't get too stressed about mistakes. They're usually pretty fixable, even if you don't notice them until the end. But yeah, that's a little bit about making a raglan sweater. So that's that, living in my Christmas bag made by my mum, the Welsh quilt maker. She really should make these bags more often for people. Hint, hint, mum. That's that. And I should have mentioned as well, the puntal is for some DK weight yarn, but it works with a variety of weights in my opinion, and it's on 4mm needles, which is, what is that? I must learn what this is, which is a US 6. Oh dear, I will learn these at some point. Okay, what have we got next on my list? We have got an update on the Musselburgh. If you've been here before, you know that I like to keep a project in my handbag. And this has been getting a little bit of attention, but not so much as it normally would. This is another Musselburgh. This is made in Drops Nord. I'm knitting it on 3.25 needles. And it's the colourway Lemongrass. And I'm just doing a centre pull ball there. Another project back from my mum. Yeah, it's not really a lot to say about this. Almost finished, just doing the decreases. This is for a child, probably one of my nephews. And yeah, I'll let you know when I finish it. I tend to have either a pair of socks or a hat or something in my bag all the time, so that when I'm in the car, on the train, on the bus, whatever, or sitting in a restaurant, I've got a little project that I can keep my hands busy with. So yeah, that's that, another Musselburgh. Okay, what have we got next? Future knitting plans. I have, I'm so excited about this test knit. I'm so excited. Yes. So I've switched it over. So we've got it first on my clipboard. I am making, or going to be making, this. How gorgeous is that? I saw this on Instagram before the test call went up, and I just fell in love with this pattern. It's called the Meadowflower wrap. And the designer's handle is Kleinigkeitenliebe, wow. And I think it means something like love for small things, or the enjoyment of small things. German is one of those lovely languages where you can just keep putting words together to make new words, and it's like Lego. So yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful pattern. As you can see, it's kind of a ballerina wrap top with a beautiful sort of flower stitch detail on it, and it's just gorgeous. The designer, she has her own podcast as well. It is in German, but if you're a German speaker, go and check it out. It's her aesthetic is just beautiful. It's all very natural and lovely, and yeah. Okay, so she has made samples in BC Garn Melange, in Isaiah Trio 2 and the Kid Silk Held Double, and also in Cardiff Cashmere Classic as well. And so this is for a sport weight, yarn. And yeah, it's gorgeous. I cannot wait to get started. The yarn arrived on Friday that I'm going to be using for this. And I was fully intending on swatching, and then my partner phoned me and said, "Do you fancy going out for dinner?" Because the weather was really nice. So we went out, and then I was out all day on Saturday and on Sunday. So I haven't done my swatching yet. Bad Kathryn. But I do have the yarn, and I'm excited about this as well. This is special yarn. Well, I think it's special anyway. This is linen 4-ply from Woolen Twine. Woolen Twine is the lovely Eula. She also has a podcast. And she's based up in Hamburg, and she makes the most interesting yarns. This is her label here. So this particular offering is linen 4-ply, but it's only 25% linen. The rest of it is, excuse me, sorry. The rest of it is 75% BFL Blue Face Leicester. So you get these gorgeous little flecks. Oh, so pretty. And this is the colourway Hickory, and even though it says linen 4-ply, it's 350 meters per 100 grams. So it's a heavy 4-ply, or going to a sport weight. And I think this is going to be perfect for the project, and I'm so excited to use this. So Hula, it's all about ethical sourcing, sustainability, traceability with her, and using natural dyes wherever possible. She makes beautiful, beautiful, beautiful yarn. I've knit with her unspun. I don't think she's got any in stock at the moment. She tends to do quite short runs of things. There are a few different yarns that she keeps in stock, like her Ovis sock base. She usually has that in stock. But some things, including this, I think are more sort of special edition yarns. I also have some Shetland / Welsh wool that she produced a couple of years ago, I think, or maybe last year. I haven't made anything with it yet. It's sitting there waiting for the perfect project. It's a DK, and I've got, how much have I got? I think 800 meters of it, which is, I can't wait to make something with it, but it needs to be perfect, something that'll really show off the yarn. Anyway, back to this. This is in the colourway Hickory. I've got 4 skeins of it, which should be ample for the project. And hopefully I will swatch for this later on today if I have time. I wish I'd already done it, but to be honest, when you've got new yarn like this, oh, another bag from Eldon Woodcraft, then it's no hardship to just sit and enjoy the yarn for a little while, is it? And just admire it. It's beautiful. I thought that this colourway is just really neutral, but also very warm as well. I think it goes quite nicely with my skin tone, and it'll go with lots of different outfits. I'm planning on wearing it over little dresses, over my skirts. I tend to live in skirts and dresses, really. You won't see me in trousers very often. Occasionally in my skanky Moomin leggings that I wear around the house all the time. Only my very good friends get to see me in those. But yeah, that is the lovely yarn from Wool and Twine for this beautiful meadow wrap. Meadowflower wrap, sorry. As I said at the beginning of the episode, all of the details are below. There isn't a Ravelry page for this pattern yet. She hasn't given a code out yet on Slack, but as soon as that's there, I'll make a Ravelry page and link it so that you guys can see it and follow my progress. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to starting that from the lovely Sharon. Yeah, nothing else to say yet. Okay, well, in terms of other future knitting plans, it's the end of July, and this is usually when I start making my, again, say the C word very quietly, Christmas gift knits. Lots of hats and socks and mittens, that kind of thing. Next month, my partner and I have a couple of weeks off, so I'm thinking I'll probably pre-record a gift knit episode about the types of patterns that I like to knit and yeah, that kind of thing. So I'll talk more about gift knitting in August sometime for anybody who's interested. Yeah, so future knitting plans, focusing on the Meadowflower, doing a bit of gift knitting, that kind of thing. And yeah, other things to quickly talk about. Very, very quick spinning update. I won't talk to you about this for very long. I am very, very, very lucky. A friend of mine who owns the local yarn shop I go to for my knit night, she had a spare Ashford spinning wheel, as you do. She said I could borrow. So it's been sat here for ages, and I've just been too busy over the last few months to do much with it. And this was my first attempt that you've seen before if you've already been here. This is my first attempt at spinning. How shocking is that? I called it, like, inverted commas, art yarn the first time I showed it, and I think a couple of people who actually do make art yarn might have been a little bit offended by that. I know that making art yarn is a very specialist skill, and it is very difficult to do it. So yeah, this is not art yarn. It's just a mess. But I'm getting better. This is what I made a a few days ago. I think it was on Thursday I did this. Still not great, still thick and thin. You see that? That bit going around that's quite thick, that's just the end. But it's getting better, right? This is just a mix of like Gotland and all sorts of more rustic yarns. I think it's called Polar Fuchs is what it's called in German, Polar Fox, which is, I think it's just like a mishmash of, yeah, sort of Scandinavian woolly wools. This I'm pretty sure is Merino, which I've discovered is very, very slippery to spin with, but it feels very nice and I'm fine with that. Yeah, still very thick and thin. I'm gonna have another go at this and maybe even try some plying. What I'm finding most difficult at the moment is joining on new bits. It's, yeah, that's where I'm getting the thick and thin bits, is if the bit that I'm working on, the sort of the I don't know what you call what the terminology is. It's not a bat, is it? But the bundles of fibre, the bumps of fibre that I'm working with, when one end's joining the next one, and that's where I'm getting some problems, particularly with the slippery merino wool. But you know what? I don't care. I'm having so much fun doing this. I feel like a Disney princess sat here with a little blue tit stealing my mohair outside, and sat here spinning, you know, waiting for my partner to come home. Me and Snow White or Rapunzel, whatever. But no, all joking aside, it is so much fun to do this. It's very addictive and extremely frustrating. I picked it up and I was setting up the wheel again to start spinning, and it had been a good month or so since I'd done it last. And I had to look up videos of like where to put the brake and all that kind of thing, because it all went out of my head. I should have done a video of my friend Svenja setting up the wheel before we started, so that I had that to refer to. Never mind, I'll remember now anyway. I've looked it up. But yeah, that's my spinning. Leaves a lot to be desired, slowly getting better, having lots of fun, so happy days. So that was a little spinning update. Next, in other acquisitions. So as you will have seen at the beginning, I went to Münster for the day with my friend Steffi, who is, I'm trying to induct her to the cult of knitting. She's a crocheter, which is fine, but she's not, she doesn't crochet very often, only every now and again. She made a beautiful, oh, what's that, cherry heart blanket? Battenberg. She made a beautiful Battenberg blanket out of cotton last year, and it's gorgeous, really, really beautiful. Weighs an absolute flipping ton because it's made out of cotton, but it is beautiful. So yeah, my friend Steffi, she's originally from a village near Münster, and I said to her that I wanted to do some filming in different German cities around the area, and she said, well, do you want to come and have breakfast with my family, and yeah, we'll go and have a look for some yarn shops in Münster. So we did, and we drove for 2 hours on Saturday morning. She came and picked me up really early, and we went to her parents' house for breakfast first, which was so much fun. I've never, even though I've lived in Germany for a long time, this is my permanent home. It felt like I was an exchange student or something, having breakfast with my host family. It was brilliant. German breakfasts are fantastic. So I think breakfast is so cultural, isn't it? If you say to, I don't know about other cultures, but if you say to a British person, if you want to invite somebody, like a close family member, over for a meal, for a catch up, it's going to be probably lunch, and usually Sunday lunch is when you're going to invite somebody over for a roast dinner. That's kind of our culturally important meal on the weekend. In my experience anyway, I'm sure it's different for other people. But in Germany, it's very much about breakfast. If you want to spend time with your close relatives, you'll invite them over for breakfast on the weekend. And it tends to be a big spread of different cold meats, cold sliced cheese, semi-hard boiled eggs, What else? Bread rolls, like Brötchen, they're called. They're kind of crunchy bread rolls. What else? Bits of cucumber and tomato, that kind of, the smoked salmon, that sort of thing. Tends not to be a sweet affair at all. It's honestly, as a British person, to me it looks like lunch. But that's fine. But yeah, it was lovely. So we had breakfast with her mum and dad, and her little brother popped in as well. And then we went into Münster shopping. And we just had a really, really nice day. We only made it to one yarn shop, and I'll put some footage in at the end of the video. And it's a very typical chain type big box yarn shop. One of the main brands here in Germany is Lana Grossa, and a lot of the shops are sort of flagship shops for Lana Grossa. In the UK, it would probably be the equivalent of Rowan in terms of ubiquity, how available it is in the area. And when I was there, I picked up some, I love this sock yarn. You will have seen me knit with this before, but this is the Lana Grossa Merino Meilenweit soft. And it's just a really nice self-striping yarn. It'll come out like that. And I got that in 2 different colorways. You can't go wrong with this. It's nice and soft. It washes well. It is a skinny 4-ply. It's 420 meters per 100 grams, and it's 25% merino, 25% polyamide. It's just nice yarn to knit with. It's a lot softer than things like Regia and what am I thinking of? Opal. It's a lot softer than those sorts of more workhorse. Yeah, workhorse. That's right. Workhorse yarns. Oh dear, I think I need a coffee. I've got chamomile tea here. It's not strong enough. Yeah, I really like this yarn. I might give a ball of this away as part of one of the prizes for the Mal. If you would like one of these and you think it would make a good prize, comment below. Because I know that it's nice to have sort of indie dyed and interesting yarns like that as prizes, but you can't really go wrong with a good sock yarn as well. So if this would be something of interest to you and you think it would make a good prize for the Mal, just let me know down in the comments. So that's what I picked up there. I also went to another city last week called Aachen, and I did lots of filming there, and I was intending to put that in this episode. But the lovely yarn shop that I went to, it was a Tuesday morning, they're closed on Mondays, and they had just received their delivery for all of the autumn and winter yarns. So I went in and it was, there was a pile of boxes along one side of the shop that was taller than me. I'm 1.67 m, 5'6". And yeah, it was taller than me down the side. So I spoke to the owner and we've been emailing. So I'm going to go back this week, hopefully, and do some filming there when it's a bit more presentable. But I felt so bad for them because they were just so apologetic and everything, but it was absolutely fine. I do love that yarn shop. Aachen is a really beautiful city as well, so I'm looking forward to showing you the footage for that in the next episode. But while I was there, I'll show you now anyway, I picked up 2 balls of this cool wool. Again, this is Lana Grossa. I like to use this for gift knitting because it's colour fast, it's easy to look after, and it's super wash. So as long as you're careful, you can put this in the washing machine. I wouldn't, but you can. This is just 100% merino, and I'm going to use this to make a Christmas shawl for my mother-in-law. She loves red, she doesn't like variegated yarns, and I'm going to probably hold this with a sort of a dark reddish brown mohair. I've got some Ito left over from a previous project, just to make a nice lacy shawl. And again, I'll talk about my preferred patterns for easy lace shawls when I do my gift knit episode in a couple of weeks' time. So that's that. I also picked up a prize for the Mal. Excuse me. This is, again, Lana Grossa. and it's a sock yarn with yak in it, and it's so soft. It's so soft. So this will be a prize for the mal as well. The makeup for this, it's 100 grams is 420 meters, 65% wool, 25% polyamide and 10% yak. And it's just, you see all the colours in that? So pretty, isn't it? I've knit with this before, and I've also knit with their Cashmere Dream one as well. And it just makes a really luxurious pair of socks that it's just, you can just know, you know what you're going to get with this. It's a nice yarn, and I thought this would be a lovely prize for the mal as well. So just to say a little bit more about the mal then, it's the Made by Merino Thrifty Mal, and it's a make along because I don't mind what craft you're doing as long as you spend as little money as possible. So we're looking for patterns you've had for ages, yarn or whatever materials you're using from stash or donated or borrowed or whatever, just to be as thrifty as possible and to use up what we've got and use scraps or whatever you want. Or it could be a kit that you've had lurking about for ages. I said in the previous episode, my dad is making rope fenders for the canal boat as his contribution to the mal. But it could be a paint by numbers kit you've had for ages, or a bracelet making set that you've had and you haven't touched. Anything like that. So we're using the hashtag MBMThriftyMal24. I'll put it down on the screen here. Oh, just noticed that's still there. Yeah, and you can enter on Instagram by using the hashtag. I recommend that you tag me as well at Mumino, just to make sure that I see it. And I've really enjoyed looking at your entries so far, as I said at the beginning of the episode. We also have a group on Ravelry, Made by Mumino. Again, all the links are down below. And you can post your objects in the thread for the mal as well. It doesn't have to be a finished object. This is a no stress or low stress mal. WIPs are more than welcome and count as an entry too. You can enter as many times as you want. I'm keeping a spreadsheet of all the entries. Thank you so much for everyone who's entered already. If you don't have access to Ravelry or you prefer not to use it, or Instagram, feel free to email me your photographs instead. A few people have already done that too. And yeah, it's just really nice. It seems to be a nice group on Ravelry, and I try and dip into the chat every now and again. So yeah, thank you so much for that. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. Let me just check my notes. Yeah, so it started on the 1st of July and it's ending on the 30th of September. And there are going to be 3 prize bundles, and I'm keeping a list of the prize bundles on Ravelry as well on the group, so if you want to check those. So far, we've got a very beautiful skein of hand-dyed yarn from the WE Yarn Company, their Yaldi Yak sock base. You can see that in the previous episode. I don't have it here, sadly. We also now have this. We could also have one of these. There will be more as well. We could have one of these as well, if that's something you'd be interested in. Also, Nancy Wheeler from the Knit Sip Happy podcast has very, very kindly said that she will donate some patterns to the, or a pattern to the make along as well. So we'll definitely be putting one of her patterns with one of the bundles too. But yeah, next week, I will be going to Aachen again, so I might go to pick up some stitch markers or something to go with one of the prize bundles. I'm hoping to go to Cologne next week too, so maybe pick up some more prizes there, but I'll keep the little bundles updated, so feel free to enter. And yeah, good luck and happy knitting, happy crafting. I've got a real frog in my throat today. Okay. I think that's it. So yeah, I think that's it. As I said, I'm going to be going, taking a little holiday in a few weeks' time with my partner. I'm not sure if we're going to go away yet. work for him is very busy at the moment, so he might need to stay a little bit closer to home, or yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we're definitely going to be enjoying the beautiful summer here in Germany for a couple of weeks. So I will see you in 2 weeks' time, and I will also be making a gift knitting episode in the next few weeks too. So if there's anything you would like me to include in that, please comment down below about your experience of gift knitting as well. What's worked well for you, what's not so good, any tips and tricks that you have for fitting and sneakily measuring things. So yeah, at the end of the episode now, as I said, there's a little bit of footage from my visit to Münster with my friend Steffi. Spot a little cameo of Steffi. She is a lovely lady with purple hair. If you can spot her, let me know down in the comments. But well done for making it this far if you're still here, and yeah, have a lovely week, and I will hopefully speak to you very soon. Happy crafting. Bye. Bye.